Check 1, 2, Fat Mac, Almighty Triple XL. Yeah, it's about that time, man. We gonna fuck with the higher chakras today, man. That's what we gonna do, man. That's what we gonna do. And nothing typifies that to bringing in my pimp partner, man. Tony Dreamer, man. Magnus, nigga Fuchsius. Oh, yeah. He's back once again. He is off hiatus. And, man, I gotta ask you something, man, because before I even do that, before I even get into that, let me just go ahead and say, if you's a female ass nigga, man, and you got female ass tendencies, just like what I'm saying, you think like a goddamn broad, and what I'm saying is, if you've been rocking with me for all these years, you know, I'm spitting this, I'm spitting that, I'm saying this, I'm saying that, and you don't necessarily agree with everything I say, but you can still tolerate what I say, and you can still kind of like understand, we can agree to disagree. Then we get to this concept of me talking about Trump and how, you know, I like him as an individual. He just has qualities that I fucking like. Then you start acting like a bitch. I'm not gonna listen to you no more. I can't fuck with you no more. The nigga kick fucking rocks, because we both know that the black community is a ratchet hoe, and they think like ratchet hoes. And Tony, we both know you can come through 99% of the time, you know, for a ratchet bitch, and that one time you have a disagreement, that one time that you don't do what the fuck the ratchet bitch wants you to do, then all of a sudden you a bad guy. So I'm just saying that to everybody that's wearing panties in this shit, man. If you can't be a grown ass man about this politics shit, you know, because I don't give a fuck who you like, and I don't give a fuck who you rock with on the political tip. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna disown you because you don't like what I like, or you don't like who I like. What kind of bitch made nigga shit is this, man? So I just wanted to say that, man. I appreciate everybody coming through supporting me. I appreciate everybody rocking with me. But look, this is a man zone, and we do what men do, and we don't act like ratchet hoes over here. So if you want to have the mentality of a ratchet ass bitch, the nigga kick rocks. So with that being said, I'd like to say, do you kind of agree with my assessment when we talking about the political arena over here, Tony?
Yeah, because see, the thing is that, you know, politics is something that you have to look at without emotion.
Right.
And you have to look at it objectively without emotion.
Okay.
You have to look at it without, you know, necessarily cheerleading either side. You have to tell the truth and then accept it as it is and then deal with it. That's how I embrace life. No matter how horrible it is, you have to take whatever you get and find a way to survive and thrive on the situation. And believe me, I've had more than my share of opportunities to take the worst shit and still find a way to get over, no matter what the situation is. So if you are interested in, you know, because a lot of black people are low level. They will say they're not, but they're low level cheerleaders for the Democratic Party.
Right.
And they're low level cheerleaders for, you know, that type of white liberalism. You know, they claim that they don't like white liberals, but they're really cheerleaders for white liberals.
Right.
So I think that if we be honest about it, if this is something where, you know, your feelings get hurt easily, you know, you need to get up out of here.
Yeah.
If this is something where you expect us to necessarily nut hug your beliefs, you need to get up out of here.
Right.
Because this is a zone where we look at things and try to examine things and come to some type of logical solution based upon the facts.
Right.
We're just interested in the facts. We're interested in all that other shit. We're interested in the facts.
Shit.
And so if you don't have to agree with everything we say.
Exactly.
You know, you shouldn't agree with everything anybody says.
Mm-hmm.
Now, sometimes you can identify with what we say, you can feel what we say, but you don't have to identify with everything that we say in order to listen to us. But if you are emotional about it, you feel some kind of way about it, and you know your boxes are in a bunch, you need to get the fuck up out of here.
Yes.
There's no other way I can say it.
Man, so check this out. Let me say this, man, because to everyone's dismay, you know what I'm going to do, man? I'm going to start beating up on Tariq. I have to start beating up on Tariq, man, because every time I turn around, this nigga is saying just some off the wall, crazy ass shit, man. And I do this as a lesson, man. You know, a lesson in critical thinking, because everybody that's listening to this nigga, they obviously they don't have a lot of critical thinking skills, and they obviously don't really know too much about history and shit, man. Well, let me ask you this: do you think that what's happening to Trump now, right, is kind of like a replay of McCarthyism and the Red Scare?
I think it's similar to what it is.
All right.
And, this has happened before.
Okay.
This goes on. Let me say this, man. This is what happens when sectors of the wealthy elite war with each other.
Right.
In the Super Bowl, you have the best from the American Football Conference and the National Football Conference.
Right.
In February and January, those two teams play each other for supremacy, right?
Right.
Okay. In the NBA, the best of one league against the best of the other for supremacy, right?
Right.
Okay, well, politics is no different.
Okay.
The wealthy elite, sections of the wealthy elite, sometimes collide with each other. Sometimes they have conflict with each other. And sometimes what will happen is the masses will get the externality or the unintended benefit of that conflict. Okay?
Okay.
Historically, has this happened before? Yes. This happened during the Civil War.
Okay.
Okay?
All right.
During the Civil War, the conflict was between the wealthy Southern aristocracy that had the rice, sugar, and cotton plantations versus the wealthy Northeastern blue-blooded banking establishment and those people that own industries and factories such as DuPont's, Ford's, Rockefellers, Carnegie's, and Vanderbilt's, and so on.
Uh-huh.
That's what happened with vast sectors or when sectors of the elite start to war or fight or conflict with each other. Mm-hmm. And so you'll see stuff come out in the press about one side. Specifically, you'll see the majority of the articles toward the person that they're trying to demonize, or that they don't like, because those people generally run and control that media. Mm-hmm. So what they do is they demonize that person who they're competing with, but it's just people of the same class warring with each other, fighting with each other. And what it is they're fighting with each other for the allegiance and for the loyalty of all the working class and everybody else below them. Mm-hmm. So what's happening to Trump is very much it's always been happening in American history. It's happened throughout American history. This is no surprise. But, see, people haven't been really told about American history. You have the myth of American history. So anytime anybody says anything about the truth about American history, you have to show that kind of class conflict. And that's the thing that the ruling elite, that's the thing that they're really afraid of, is the issue of class conflict, because that can tear the country apart. So anytime any historian talks about this, they start talking about the liberal elite, or they start saying, this type of the education system or the college systems are ruled by, leftist intellectuals, and these are just people that are just reciting the historical record, but they come up with ways to, dumb down what they're saying by the use of labels. So I say it to say what's happening to him has been happening, since the country has been in existence. The same thing happened during, the era of Franklin Roosevelt. When Roosevelt's presidency, he came from the ruling elite, but they didn't like his program, so they demonized him in the newspapers. Mm-hmm. They talked about his wife. They let it slip on the low that his wife was a lesbian, and she was. Mm-hmm. But she was progressive, and she was for civil rights. She supported the Tuskegee Airmen. Mm-hmm. And Roosevelt himself wasn't a very liberal man towards, people of color. He just wasn't. But he wasn't as cold and as fucked up as the ruling elite.
All right.
And so they put all these articles in the newspaper, and then this resulted in the aborted business coup of 1932 involving General Smedley Darlington Butler. Look that name up.
All right.
This is just a normal thing right because they're in competition with this person in their class for supremacy. It happens all the time. So,
well, let me ask you this.
Different in this situation.
All right, let me ask you this. Do you have any sort of, I don't know, insight on what you think it is specifically that they don't like about Trump as far as the oligarchs are concerned? Why is the George Soros-led media, because basically just what you said, it's billionaires versus billionaires is what it is. You know, George Soros has got crazy money, and for some reason, this media does not like Donald Trump. Do you have any idea why the media does not like Donald Trump?
Well, I mean, it could be a variety of reasons.
Mm-hmm.
Truth be told, I think it's because when he started speaking about the issue of, you know, the flight of capital from America.
Okay.
When he started talking about, you know, dropping taxes on those corporations that leave America.
Right.
I think anytime you say the word taxes to the wealthy elite, you automatically become their adversary.
Okay. All right.
Anytime you start talking about taxing them, if their labors leave the shores, and that's how they've been making their money, and foreign investments are going into countries where the economy is in the toilet and getting people to work to prison, essentially below prison wages, and setting up what's called maquiladoras, these little small work factories where you're abusive and you're tyrannical and you basically coerce people. You ingratiate yourself to the government in these fucked up economies to, you know, basically put the people in a state of feudalism and peonage. You know, just the fat corporate profit. So when Trump says that, or when he says that he's going to tax them 35% for leaving the country and setting up this kind of thing, I think that caused a lot of rancor. Now the question is whether he really meant that.
Right.
And we don't know that right now. You can't judge him right now. You have to look at his record over a protracted period of time.
Right.
There are also some other legitimate grievances that people have about him. He's not the savior.
Right.
You can look at his cabinet and see that his cabinet is going to be problematic.
Okay.
You know, Jeff Sessions, there's no question that guy should not be over the civil rights division. I mean, you just don't, that's no question. That guy has no business being there.
Okay.
And then what has happened is the re-emergence of this type of alt-right. I don't even like to call it alt-right. Just call it what it is. It is the revision, or what they've done is that they're making Nazism or this far-right form of kook, racism. They're making that fashionable.
Okay.
And that is being exposed, but I think that's a good thing. I always want to know where my enemy sits.
Right.
I always want to know where you are.
Okay.
Always want to know where you are. So the unexpected benefit is it's like any other sore. The way for any sort of heal is you have to be exposed to the natural toxins of air and time for it to be dealt with. And then you can drain out the infection and you can heal the sore, so to speak. So I think that's one thing. His cabinet is problematic, but then again, it's no different than any other cabinet of any other American presidency because, you talk about that cabinet, but the people that was in George Bush's cabinet, well, the people that were sitting on the board for the project of the New American Century. You know, these hardcore right-wing globalists that some have said, and there's certainly some evidence to support that, are responsible for the inside job that we know as 9/11.
Right.
So, with that being said, I say that to say his cabinet is no different than any other past cabinet of any other president, with the exception of maybe Barack Obama. But that's not even an exception, because he took the same corporate thieves from Wall Street in his cabinet. How you gonna make Geithner the Secretary of Finance? That don't even make any sense. He presided over the subprime mortgage industry. He presided over the meltdown, the financial meltdown of the banks. Why would you make this motherfucker your financial secretary? It doesn't make any sense. So all presidential cabinets have been problematic. This is no different. There could be a majority of reasons, but I think it's because he also has the ability, with what he says, to whip up or to control the white working class.
Right.
And
Exactly.
That's the ball game.
That's the ball game right there. And then we got this situation where, like I said, coming back to Tariq, he's on this kick where he's comparing homeboy, man, Trump to Hitler every fucking 5 seconds and shit, man. It's just like, you were saying.
Why did he make that comparison with George Bush?
Well, why did he make that comparison with Obama? Obama passed the NDAA. Obama's been real.
People made they did draw the Obama Hitler posters. I mean, that comparison. They said that comparison was out there. They were always likening him to Hitler.
Yeah, but like I said, I mean, he's done a lot of things that have been Hitler-esque. You know what I'm saying? As far as like the illegal wiretaps and just killing American citizens without due process with drone strikes. You know what I mean? There's plenty of things.
That wasn't. I mean, that's been fashionable. All the American presidents have done it.
Yeah, exactly. But that's my point. But that's my point. Tariq, he's honing in on Trump, and Trump hasn't even done shit yet. You know what I mean? But during the Obama administration, Tariq ain't say shit. Tariq just said, initially he was hugging the nuts, but then, 8 years into it, he kind of realized that Obama was a power trick, and you don't get shit, if you don't pay into it. You know what I mean? So he didn't say jack shit about none of the Hitler-esque or Nazi type shit that Obama did. You know what I mean? So that's my point.
Well, he definitely didn't critique Obama as far as that is concerned.
Right.
But I would not call him a power trick. I would call him a paid-for home.
Oh, okay.
When Goldman Sachs contributes $1 billion towards your campaign,
right.
Goldman Sachs is the power trick.
Okay, I got you. Okay.
So that classification, I don't know if I can agree with, but You're right. He didn't critique him with respect to the violations of wiretapping. You're absolutely correct. He didn't critique it. You're right.
Mm-hmm.
And he's honing in on Trump. But then you got to figure out, Trump makes him this type of environment with this racial climate makes people like him, relevant because he's just trying to reinvent himself.
Right.
Because when Tucker Carlson, called him on the carpet about the art of knocking, the so-called quote-unquote survival scrubs that niggas was believing in, he said that was just satire. It was just tongue-in-cheek. It wasn't to be taken serious.
It's just jokes. It's just jokes. But,
he got niggas on his spitting venom at other people, calling other people names.
Right.
Because, they don't believe in what he's saying or their philosophy is counter to what he's saying. And then to be told that, shit, I told y'all it's just jokes, it's satire, it's not to be taken seriously, it's just tongue-in-cheek. So this type of environment allows him to reinvent himself. And that's what you have to take it as, reinvent himself. Because, again, I keep telling you, their masters are telling half the story, but they don't tell the whole story.
Right.
They don't tell the whole story.
Yeah, what I find interesting about that, right, how I always tell my brethren on here, man, about the power of the media. And, you would think that Tariq understands that, and I think he does, but just like you said, it's a money-making opportunity, and he's finally got his boogeyman where he could really pile on and make some money off this Trump shit. But it's a situation where Tariq went on Fox News with Tucker Carlson, and they blatantly lied on Tariq and said he is a Black Lives Matter advocate. And me and you who listen to Tariq, from time to time, we both know he has distanced himself, adamantly far away from Black Lives Matter. He don't fuck with Black Lives Matter. He does understand enough that he knows it's George Soros funded and it's controlled opposition. He knows that. But on Fox News, they went ahead and said, this guy is part of Black Lives Matter. They blatantly lied on this cat, right? So now we have Trump kind of like in the same boat. Every time you turn around, he's a racist, he's a Nazi, he's a womanizer, lie after lie, just tons of unsubstantiated shit. But he doesn't pay attention to that shit. And he also should understand that about the Cosby situation. From the giddy up, he was kind of like standoffish about the Cosby joint. He didn't really want, he the type of cat, he'll lick his finger and hold his finger up in the air and see which way the wind blow. And then when it finally was coming out that, Cosby was being innocent of these charges, then he went ahead and he jumped on the bandwagon, said, okay, yeah, he's innocent of these charges. But before that happened, he was kind of like all in, just like the rest of these niggas was all in, trying to go ahead and crucify Cosby at the behest of the white, liberal, racist, Jewish media. You know what I'm saying? So here we have Tariq, who's supposed to be, you know, a thinker, a critical thinker. He's just jumping on the bandwagon with this whole Trump is this and Trump is that, when he should know more than anybody how the media will spin and lie and basically assassinate your character. You know what I mean? I'm like, here you are, minding your own business, doing your own thing. You know what I'm saying? Then here come Fox News just slandering you and just talking all sorts of shit about you and saying that, you know, you're a Black Lives Matter advocate when you know that you're not, and you said repeatedly that you're not. But you know how it is. If you repeat a lie over and over and over and over again in propaganda, it becomes the truth. You know what I mean? So I just find that kind of, you know, fucked up, man, with this cat. He's like Hitler. He's like, he is taking all his cues from the very same media, which he claims is white supremacist. And I'm just like, my nigga, man, you just been a victim of that shit yourself. You seen Cosby was a victim of that shit, you know, and now all of a sudden you taking all your talking points, you know, all your so-called information from the very same media that was trying to trash and destroy you. I don't know. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, the thing is that it's like anything. If you're around something long enough, you conform to it.
Okay.
Or you adjust to it. I think that for whatever reason, I think that, again, if you're talking about the American media, right. Malcolm X said that the American media can make people love who they want and hate who they want.
Right.
And he functions in that media. You know. Mm-hmm. He is I wouldn't call him a journalist. Okay. I would call him someone who makes his living in media.
All right.
So you can't make your living in media and not be affected by what you hear in media.
Okay.
You understand?
All right.
So I think you're right when you say, okay, on one hand, you know, you talk about how the media distort you, but on the other hand, you can't see how the media will distort someone else's image.
Right.
You know, I would agree that it's myopic and short-sighted. You know, mm-hmm. But again, this feeds. You know, this allows him to recreate himself. You got to remember that, mm-hmm. Because a mass movement can survive without a God, but it can't survive without a devil.
No doubt.
And you know, he very much needs this narrative of, you know, because he's able to reposition himself and recreate himself as an intellectual.
Right.
So this enables him to do that. So, you know, of course he has to go along with the American corporate media. See, I don't use the word liberal or Jewish. I use corporate.
Right.
Because, see, I think that the media is owned by the same establishment. Jesse Ventura had an excellent thing. He said, it's like pro wrestling. He said, when you think both of them are adversaries, but they're really in league with one another, they're just playing out.
Right.
The different sides to get people to cheer. Mm-hmm. So I think that really what he is, I think, truth be told, I think he's a closet. If you want to use the term, I think he's a closet liberal.
Okay.
I do. I think Tariq Nasheed is a closet liberal.
All right.
But being a closet liberal is problematic because you know the liberals' behavior towards people of color. You know, it's that paternalistic, benign racism that, you know, manifests itself in the black community and with black or people of color. And I think he can't help but be affected by that narrative because that's the narrative that usually is talking about, you know, issues of, you know, social justice or what have you.
Right.
And, you know, if you said he was a racist and he was a womanizer, and I'm still just saying, okay, what American president wasn't a racist and a womanizer?
No shit. Right. Mm-hmm.
The man who brought us the welfare, the timeless gift of welfare, you know, he bragged that he had more women on accident than John Kennedy had on purpose.
Wow. Okay.
You know,
Yeah.
And his friend was Richard Russell. Richard Russell was a Southern segregationist. You know, and God knows how many times on tape, or how many times on those White House tapes they caught him saying the word nigger.
Right.
It just rolled off his tongue. So what I'm saying is I'm a bit miffed as a person who studies history. I'm a bit miffed at the surprise. You know, I mean, where the hell have y'all been for the last 60 years?
Right,
where have you been?
Right. Mm-hmm.
If you say that he's a misogynist, that he's a racist, I'm like, okay, what president, with the exception of maybe Barack Obama, but what president wasn't a misogynist and a racist? I mean,
shit.
So?
Yeah.
And?
It's proof positive niggas get their marching orders from the goddamn media. Because, of course, if the media wasn't making such a big stink and a big fuss about it, of course, niggas wouldn't give a fuck either. But since the media is making a big fuss about this and about that, niggas just like robots, just like, you know, hoes, they fall in line and they start doing what the media tell them to do. You know what I mean? So, I mean,
that's the magistry and the magic of propaganda.
Right.
You know, so again, it's a terrible thing. I agree with you. It's a terrible thing. But again, I'm like, okay, what is the big deal here? You know, but again, you know that our people, we don't read, man. What you expect?
Shit. And not just that, it's just crazy because, you know, I mean, I've gone on record many a times, man, how I've said that.
There's a study. They said that black people consume 3 to 4 more times of television viewing.
Right.
Than other ethnic groups of people.
Right.